Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. So welcome to the show, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be here.
It's lovely to finally chat with you. I love checking out your website. I love how you're helping entrepreneurs and course creators. Something a lot of creatives, I feel like we're all entrepreneurs anyway, but they're going down the roads of course creation and other things. So it's great to finally share your story. But I want to go back to the beginning and talk about where you're from and what brought you to France.
Yes, so I'm from Australia. And I've actually been to France twice now. So originally I moved here just as a working holiday trip, travel Europe and work at the same time for a year. I then went back to Australia for a couple of years. And just before I left, I met my now fiance. We had a long distance relationship, which was a little bit of a challenge, but also really fun because we got to travel. He would come to me, I would come back to France. So it was a really great adventurous time in terms of traveling. And this time around, I've been back for 5 years now, which has gone so fast, but definitely staying here indefinitely now.
Congratulations on the engagement. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
And if it's been 5 years, then you came like right before the pandemic.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, what a time. It's like,
I
oh,
know.
I'm here, everything's great. Oh, I'm locked in my house for 2 years. Well, finally, we're out of that dark time. And talk a little bit about how your life has changed since moving to France.
There's one thing that I really, and most people ask, like, what do you love about France? And I think the one thing that is quite different from Australia is there's a real passion for life. And I think this also feeds into creativity as well, is you're not living to work, you're working to live, essentially. And there's a big priority around taking long lunch breaks and enjoying your weekends off. And once you've clocked off work, you're clocked off. And I think as entrepreneurs, we obviously tend to work a little bit more outside of the regular hours. But having that mentality, I think, is what I really love about France and French people.
I couldn't agree more. As an American living in France, as a small business owner, it's like, it's hard to turn off. Maybe that's why we came here, because we want what they have. And this is like rehab for us. We're like learning how to chill out a little bit. Take a note from the French. And what's something you wish more people knew about moving here? I mean, so many people dream of coming here and starting their life, but what's something you wish you could go back and tell yourself before moving here?
I mean, not to be negative Nelly, but it's definitely going to be harder than you think it is. Transitioning to another country, particularly a country that doesn't speak the same native language, is going to take an adjustment. And I think giving yourself the patience and the time to integrate and not be in a hurry and not expect things to be the same or to work the same way would definitely give you peace of mind that everything is normal and it's okay. And if things take time, it takes time, and that's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everyone that tells me that, they're like, "Oh, you're living my dream." And I'm like, sometimes it's better just to visit for long periods of time because it is a lot moving here. Like you said, different language, different culture, different way of life. So sometimes it can be very isolating, it can be very lonely, and it's just like kind of that whole culture shock situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I particularly like as an entrepreneur, you're not just migrating and getting a job. You're also starting a business, and there's a whole other element that is added on top of that.
For sure. And so you design custom websites for entrepreneurs and course creators. Tell us more about your work.
Yeah, so I design, primarily my focus is design. I'm very much left and right brain, so web design has kind of been that perfect medium for me to be able to balance both sides and to get, that design and creativity expression as well as the development and that analytical side of my brain going. So I love working with course creators and really soulful entrepreneurs, people who genuinely care about their clients, who really want to see them get results in whatever course or offering that they have. And I mean, it sounds cliched, but they really want to change the world. And whether that's just a small part or a really large part, like it's definitely something that resonates in their soul and their purpose. And that's like 100% the perfect person that I love working with.
Yeah, I mean, we're so inspired to get our work out there and change the world with our work and connect. And you're creating a place for people to land and make that connection. And what are some common mistakes you see when people are creating websites? What's some things we need to be like careful about?
I think definitely getting into the trap of perfectionism, making sure that everything is like 100% correct before you hit publish. That's definitely a deep rabbit hole that you can get into. And I think the best thing to know is that a website is always evolving. It's online. You can change it. It's natural for your business to evolve, for your clients to evolve, your offerings, your messaging, like everything. And so your website should evolve with it. So getting into that mentality of having this perfect version is only going to hold you back.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think we all get the analysis paralysis, and it's like, there's so much to do. Where do I even start? Or is this the right way? Is this the right way? And what is some like feedback you have for specifically creatives when creating a website? Like, are there certain things we should always have on our websites?
Oh, absolutely. To me, I live in a different camp to most people. They will give you, okay, these are the 5 things you must have on every website. For me, I prefer to give you a broad spectrum of guidelines of, you could have an opt-in, or you could have, a button that books a call with you. But all of the decision-making down to what you should have on your website is unique to you, and only you know what your primary goal is. I think that's the most important thing, is knowing what you want your website to do. Because if you're looking at inspiration and you're looking at websites that sell digital products, but you're selling courses, then using that as inspiration is not necessarily going to work for you, because the end primary goal is not the same. And so I'm really big on using your intuition. So when you're making decisions, really connect to, that gut instinct, your intuition, and decide, okay, is this the right fit for me? And does this align with my business?
I couldn't agree more. Like the intuition is such a big part of everything we do, but especially, with the website, we're trying to drive traffic. We're trying to keep people around, to tell them what we're about. It's kind of like our elevator pitch, and it's like, how do we make this clear, and how do we keep people here? And how do you feel about templates? I mean, there's so many places in offering templates. You offer templates. Like, what do you feel about templates for websites?
I love templates. But again, it comes down to that use, and it's being able to visually choose a template, not by the looks, and instead looking at the layout. And I think that's where people get really stuck with templates, is they see it looks pretty, and then they go to put their copy and their images in, and it doesn't look the same anymore. Whereas if they chose a template that really considered the layout, whether it's, image left, text right, hero image, that kind of thing, versus what it visually looks like, you're going to have a better end result. And so it's going to be a more successful starting with a template. And I think like templates are fantastic for people just starting out because you don't have a big budget and you still want to feel professional. Having a website gives you that confidence. It makes you feel like you have a real legitimate business. It also helps other people validate you that, you do have a real legitimate business. And you don't always have the budget for a custom website straight off the bat. So using a template allows you to get started and have something that still looks professional, that's designed by a professional, and have that win-win situation.
I think that's great advice. It's a great starting point as things grow. You can customize with a designer like yourself. And talk about some of the other things that we should be thinking about when creating a website. Should we get copywriters? Should we invest in SEO? What are some of the other things we should think about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many options out there, isn't there? Definitely, I think having a photographer is a great place to start investing because those headshots are not only useful for your website, but also all of your messaging and social media as well. In terms of copywriter, it really depends on your confidence in yourself and your ability to write. For me personally, I write all of my own content. I have had copywriters in the past, but I've just found that it's not my voice. And as someone who is really deeply connected to that now, I find writing my own copy allows me to express what I want to express the way that really resonates with me. And then when someone has a call with me after reading my website, there's no disjointedness. So, they have felt like I have spoken to them through words, and now I'm speaking to them on a call, and there's that synergy between the two.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And what about search engine optimization? Like, do you recommend hiring someone from Upwork or Freelancer, or just kind of figuring out blogging? Like, what do you think about all that?
I mean, SEO is a hard one because most people, even SEO people, are guessing the rules. Like Google doesn't actually tell us what works and what doesn't. And it's just through trial and error that SEO people have actually worked out, okay, these are the things that work. The other thing to consider is that it's always changing. So if you're a local business and SEO is really important to you, then I would absolutely outsource that. It's really an expertise area, and you really want someone who knows what they're doing to be able to do correct keyword research and really tailor a strategy that's going to work for you and your business. Otherwise, you're kind of, throwing spaghetti at the wall, just coming up with words yourself. But there is certainly an element that you can do yourself, and that's always having fresh content, whether that's through a blog or podcast, that kind of thing. And then also having, the keywords and the titles and all of that set up in the back end. I work with WordPress, and so you can add an SEO plugin, and it does a lot of that heavy lifting for you without going down the route of SEO.
Yeah, it all feels very overwhelming, I think, for many of us, because we're like you said, it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we keep up? And how vital is blogging for your website? Is that a very important part of what we do?
I think it comes down to the individual. Blogging used to be massive. It still is. It's still a valid way of having evergreen content. The same with the podcast. I bundle those together. But it's really about knowing yourself, knowing, are you going to create this content? You could have a weekly blog schedule, or another way to use blogs is to have content pillars. So you write articles for, say, the most commonly asked questions, and then that's always there. So you have a resource to send people to, you have things that can be SEO indexed, but you're not having to create content continuously, and that might work better for you and your personality. And that's really what it comes down to, is knowing yourself, knowing your business, and knowing what feels like the right fit for you.
And talk a little bit about AI and how we can use it for our websites today.
No, I won't do it. Personally, I'm not really going down the AI channel. I have doubled with it in terms of subject lines, expanding on ideas. I think particularly when it comes to course creation, there is a lot of gray area in terms of privacy, what content gets then shared and indexed for other people to use in the AI database, and also copyright and who has ownership of that. So I certainly wouldn't be using it to create my course outlines or anything that's going to be proprietary content, because there is that very much that gray area that's unknown. But then, of course, you can use it for marketing, front-facing, public-facing things, and I think that would be a safer bet if you were wanting to get into AI.
And are there any websites you recommend to hire people for writing blogs or for doing SEO or any of those things that we don't feel comfortable with? What are some places we can look that can kind of help us?
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got Fiverr, Upwork. I think the important thing about using sites like that is to be really clear on what you want the person to do and to really articulate from A to D, E, F, wherever you're going to, the steps that they need to take in order to get there. That way you'll really be able to get someone who's clear on your goal and what you're trying to achieve, what the responsibility involves. Otherwise, you can also, ask people like, can you recommend someone? I always find referrals are always a great way to find new service providers because that person's already used them, they're happy with them, and so that's why they would recommend them.
Yeah, word of mouth is definitely helpful than just kind of shooting in the dark with a stranger on the internet. They do have reviews on those websites, but like you said, it's always nicer to know somebody.
Well, and like reviews are hard because most people want to say nice things even if the project didn't go 100%. And so you kind of do have to look between the lines of what was the result and what were they asked to do, and is this a true review of that actual project?
Yeah, that's so true because you like feel kind of guilty and you're like, okay, well, we're finished here. So I'll say something a little nice. And you also work with a lot of people creating courses. What are your feelings about courses? They've really blown up in the last decade. Do you think they'll continue to blow up? Do you think we'll continue to keep seeing course creation? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, 100%. Course creation is such a great way to leverage your expertise to, if you're wanting to cut back on hours, if you want to change the format, the amount of people that you can serve, like it's a really fantastic way to, I don't want to say passive income, I prefer to say leveraged income because of course there's still work behind it. But I think the landscape on course creation is changing, and that's, I guess, where some people have kind of become a bit fearful of, are courses still a thing? And 100% they are. It's just the way that they're being delivered. And, obviously with COVID and everything, everyone's been zoomed out. And so that has also created this pivot in the way that courses are starting to be delivered. There's more asynchronous delivery in terms of Voxer, like Loom answer, Curewet question answers, instead of having live Zoom calls, which was the norm. There's a lot of this creative revolution that's happening within course creation. It's actually quite an exciting period at the moment to kind of see where that goes, particularly with private podcasts, all of that kind of thing, and really making sure that your course delivers on a promise that you say in your sales page, in your marketing, because people have had enough of buying something that doesn't work. And I think that's really, if you're going to be starting to create courses, you want to make sure that you are actually delivering on what you said you would.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's a lot of people out there selling a lot of things, and you want to really deliver, like you said, give something that people can walk away with. And how would you define creativity in your own words?
I really thought about this answer. For me, it's such a large scope, and it's really about inspired expression. and just a way to express yourself, whether that's a large thing like writing a song or creating a piece of art, or, for me, creating a website, or whether it's a smaller thing like how you got dressed to go to work today, or how you planted the veggies in your veggie garden. Like, there's so many different ways that you can express creativity, whether you're a creative for your profession or not.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's kind of hard to define. There's a lot going on there. And what are some of the best resources that have helped you on your creative journey?
I feel like knowing what inspires me and fuels creativity has been a really long-standing thread, and something that, as I connect deeper to myself and learning more about myself, knowing that, I need to go out in nature, that I need space, calm. If I need to be inspired, then it's, reading a book or going to a museum, or just, being out in the world, people watching, and having those moments that I know will spark that creativity.
Definitely about reconnecting to the planet, to yourself. It's so important because I know we can sit in front of screens all day long, but then you need to go out and talk to people and be with yourself too.
Well, that's right. And it's particularly, as a website designer, like actually implementing that creativity is in front of a screen. So having that balance, I've found, is really important to give that space for the creativity to come.
And talk about some of the things that you help people with. You create websites, you have templates. Talk about some of the other things you offer.
So I offer, obviously, DIY templates and custom design. I love creating course portals, so completely customized course experiences. So once your student logs in, from that login page to the whole course delivery, that's what I really love to create. And something that's, not cookie cutter, basically, that can look any way that you want it to. That's why I choose the tools that I do, because they have that full scope of creativity and customization.
And what are some common feedback you get from students? Because obviously we want the students to be happy, to be user-friendly. So what are some things we should be thinking about when we're trying to make it nice for our customers, for our students, for our courses?
Yeah, definitely. You want your students to be able to find things. That's usually the number one thing when I offer course audits. So I interview people's students whilst watching them use the website. And in most cases, there's always something that they can't find, and they've created some elaborate workaround. So they don't complain about it because they've found a way to get to the thing they need to. But usually there's some sort of path that's not obvious. So it's really thinking about, okay, what do I want my students to do? What information do they need to have readily available? Is making them go to the Start Here page every single time going to be beneficial for them? Or is that just a one-time thing? And then having really clear navigation on, is it more like a Netflix offer, membership type style website where it's a buffet and you just pick and choose depending on where you're at? Or is it a sequential course that you must complete module 1, then 2, then 3, and having it all laid out that makes sense to the user? And I think the really important thing is to remember that your students don't know anything yet. You're coming from this position of expertise, and you're sharing your knowledge with them to teach them. And you have to always remember that they don't know that yet. And so always thinking from that perspective of, okay, if I didn't know this, would this make sense to me?
Yeah, because we're always kind of thinking from our perspective, and it's like, maybe they don't have all those tools yet, and that's why you're there.
Exactly. I mean, it's a hard thing to forget that you know things, but really having that in the back of your mind really does help.
Definitely. And is there any other advice you have for people who want to start courses?
Just go for it. Definitely don't get stuck on the tech. I think that's where most people get cornered is, okay, do I use this platform or that platform? And then they ask on a Facebook group, which one should I use? And then they're no better off because now they've got 15 options instead of 5. Just start. You can always change it. Again, with the web, nothing is locked in. Everything is evolving and always changing. And it's really easy to just update something. So definitely try not to let that hold you back.
And what are some future projects of your own that you're excited about to share?
Oh, I have lots of fun projects coming this year. I have a new freebie, 7 important questions to answer before you move course platforms. That I'm hoping that will be live before this episode's published. I also have a new webinar coming up on course makeovers, a couple of new DIY templates for course creators and also for authors.
Oh, fantastic. There's so many writers out there doing new books and self-publishing, so that will be super helpful.
The publishing industry has evolved massively. It's really exciting.
And where can people connect with you online, your website, your social media?
Yeah, so of course, my website, racheltaylor.com.au. And if any of those projects interest you, you can sign up to my email list and be the first to know about when they land. And of course, I hang out on Instagram, so you can find me. My handle is Racho Taylor.
That's perfect. We'll add all that to the show notes. You guys can snag some freebies. And thank you so much for chatting with me today, Rachel.
Thanks for having me.